You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast to be known so much for its sensitivity that we've not only been able to brand ourselves as script doctors to the Hallmark Channel, but will soon be seen on boxes of Kleenexes exclusive to the Disney theme parks. I'm Jason the Angry Ginger, yet sensitive Ginger Jedi Guy. Broadcasting live from inside my very own Wookiee Poo Studios. I'm not alone. I'm with the dark and brooding Matthew. Get this damn light out of my eyes, Sinister, a.k.a. Darth Matthews. Today you don't have the light in your face, though.
It's overcast today, so I'm not getting beamed with the sun right in my face. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Am I brooding? Am I a brooding person, would you say?
No, I wouldn't. But I would say, I don't think I'm angry all the time, but I can get there.
That's true. There is some guys that I have met through watching Arsenal soccer up in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And because one night I was on the piss and started bitching about something in particular, to this day I'm Angry Maddie.
Really?
Yeah, they call me Angry Maddie all the time. So it's in me. It's deep down in there.
That's when you're watching soccer, huh?
Exactly. So if you would like to find our show from a certain point askew.com, we're on Twitter at FACPApod, and you can email us. Only one did this week at FACPApod@gmail.com.
On the show today, we've got a question of the week, Baylan 2.0. We've got some tales from the Galactic Starcruiser with our friend Christina, and it's going to be a good conversation. Then we'll go into the one Maul Bag that we've got. Thank you, listeners.
So disappointing us. Somebody got something in there.
Not giving something away, and they quit writing in.
I know, that's the thing. We can start getting less question of the week answers and all that stuff when we're not doing an active giveaway. But we did get some this week. So the question I asked was, on our latest episode, we discussed what we might see in season 2 of Ashoka. Namely, will they recast Baylan Skoll, and which actor might play him? So now I put a little picture there of Ray Stevenson and Liev Schreiber and Russell Crowe, Nick Offerman, Carl Urban, and George Clooney. And so asked people what their thoughts were. So got a bunch of answers, or a decent amount of answers. JD Fish from the Blue Milk Cafe podcast, that's RFB's podcasting partner. He just said Nick Offerman would be awesome.
I agree.
I think when you first mentioned it last week, I immediately am thinking Ron Swanson, and I'm thinking about the stash. But then, yeah, in other roles you've seen him, he's got the full beard. He could totally pull it off. I mean, he's kind of got the Grizzly Adams thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, more so you see him, I think, everything you've seen him in except for the Ron Swanson. And was the mustache fake for a couple of seasons?
Was it really? I thought it was legit.
Maybe he just shaved it when he did other things, but I think it might have been fake because I thought I saw like an outtake or something where it came off or something.
Oh, that's funny. I feel like he's the kind of guy who can grow a full mustache in
like
about
4 days.
Brown Leader from Hyperspace Heroes, a winner of the Ashoka mug last week. He's very excited. He's like, of all the 3, like that was really the one I wanted. So it worked out for him.
What is it? Something about just have a coffee in both hands now?
Yeah, he's got a double fist.
Right.
He said CGI deepfake Ray Stevenson over Steve Buscemi's body.
I mean, there's a choice.
That is a choice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Wade from Records of the Republic podcast said definitely Nick Offerman. He could pull it off. So we got 2 votes for Nick Offerman.
Yeah, we do.
You listening, Disney? Or Lucasfilm, I should say. Brian Hour says Liam Cunningham from Game of Thrones. I never watched that show. I put the picture in there for you.
He's really good in Game of Thrones.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he doesn't, I mean, he has the presence, I think, to do it, but I don't think he's got the big build like Ray Stevenson. Okay. But yeah, he would be a good choice, actually.
I mean, I like the idea of it being somebody who has that kind of gravitas, but also isn't, no offense to your pick, George Clooney. You know what I mean? Like somebody that's going to take you out of the character too much because you're like,
I know what you're saying.
It's him.
Yeah.
Dan from Deconstructing Dad podcast, right? He's still on that show sometimes.
He is. There's one coming out with him soon.
Okay. Yep. He said, okay, I'll do it if I must. I've already started growing out my beard and they can throw a wig on me.
Yeah, he went from ginger to like, what do you call it? Silver fox.
Oh, he's got that all
he's got
now.
the gray look is what he's saying.
Oh, well, that'll work then. Max Rebo experience. If Hugh Jackman can play a 5'6" Wolverine, he can play anything.
Oh, now I want to see Danny DeVito as Baylan.
Oh, fuck. And finally, Barry Irwin Brophy says Vincent Regan has my vote. So I had to look this guy up because I wasn't familiar. He obviously, the picture he sent. And
he looks familiar. Who is this guy?
So he was in 300, and it's funny because it's one of those things where it's like I feel like if you were in the movie 300, you are part of the casting call for Baylan.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah,
I think so. Good choice though. And I like, again, that it's somebody that I don't necessarily know, so he can kind of
that one, yeah, and he's kind of got the same like facial structure that
he does.
Stevenson does. He just needs like a fuller beard, right?
Yeah. So yeah, there you go, Barry Irwin Brophy. I think you nailed it.
Attention Star Wars fans across the galaxy. Get ready to experience a whole new level of comfort and style with MeRobies. Imagine lounging in your MeRobies robe while sipping spotchka, catching up on the latest holodramas, and feeling as relaxed as a Jedi during meditation. It's a feeling that'll transport you to a galaxy far, far away. Whether you're a daring smuggler navigating the treacherous hyperlanes in the Millennium Falcon, or a senator orchestrating political maneuvers in the heart of Coruscant, MeRobies has the perfect robe to suit your galactic lifestyle. With our exclusive Wookiee modal fabric, you'll experience unparalleled comfort that'll make you feel like you're floating in a Bacta tank. And the designs, they're more stylish than Lando Calrissian at a Cloud City soiree.
What have we here?
Join the ranks of satisfied MeRobies customers who have discovered the force of comfort and style. So whether you're defending the rebellion, attending pod races, or simply lounging on your own personal Star Destroyer, choose MeRobies and embrace the power of comfort. Use promo code FACPAModal to receive an exclusive 10% discount. MeRobies, the robes that will make you say, "May the comfort be with you."
All right, thank you everybody for sending those in. No news this week. Or nothing.
No
that I really
news.
wanted. I mean, there's some minor news, but nothing we really wanted to get into. There was one thing that came up that we'll talk about as a full-on subject down the road.
Right, coming up down the road to fill in until we have a series to actually talk about.
Right, but the nice thing about not having a series is you get fucking awesome guests like we had with Christina. So we just had a conversation with her, which we're going to play for you now. She was amazing. You know, if you're cynical and kind of have a meh attitude towards Star Wars, Christina is not the person for you. She is very much all in on Star Wars, and it's kind of infectious when you talk to her.
It really is.
You just kind of brings your spirit up.
Yeah.
You know, she loves it so much.
I think like once a month we're gonna have her on just to like, keep us in good spirits.
Brighten the place up a little bit.
Yeah,
How would
really.
she have done if she was with us when we reviewed Resistance?
She couldn't turn it around. In fact, if she listens to this, I dare you to watch Resistance and come on here and try to turn it around. That show, if she could change my mind on that, she might be like a miracle worker.
And that would be pretty tough to pull off. Yeah. So enjoy listening to our conversation with Christina.
On the Skype lines, we've got my friend Christina Nicholls, who I've known for years, I guess, on the internet. We were talking pre-show. I don't know if it was Twitter or you were a listener of one of the podcasts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So you're on the show, and we were talking. You went to the Starcruiser thing a few weeks back, and seeing what you were writing on Facebook about it, I was like, oh, we got to have her on the show, because we kind of joke about it every once in a while. I know it was closing. So I talked to Matt, and Matt's like, yeah, get her on once Ahsoka ends. So I want to talk about this, but you seem to have an experience that's happened with this that's far different than other people, I guess. Or I guess beyond the price tag. Yes, Matt, you've got your hand. You can talk first.
Hold on. You're not doing the right protocol. Whenever we have somebody new on, we have to start with their Star Wars origin story.
That's right.
So basically what we ask is how did you come to Star Wars? At what age or whatever, as a kid, whenever it hit you, what was the movie or the show or the book or whatever that got you, and kind of how you got into Star Wars?
I'm going to guess. It was one of the Ewoks movies on CBS in 1986.
How did you know? No, I was born into it. I was indoctrinated into Star Wars. My parents are both Star Wars fans. I have two older brothers, 5 and 6 years older than me. So by the time I was born, Empire Strikes Back year. I'm not old. I was
You're
already
younger than us.
I was already a fan. I mean, I was born into it. I grew up playing with my brother's Star Wars figurines in the 80s. So
did you have Empire Strikes Back crib sheets?
I wish that my parents were that cool, but they didn't realize I was gonna love the Empire so much. I think because my whole family's all Jedi, so I'm the only one who turned to the dark side. Yeah.
The black sheep.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's usually how the Sith start out, right? I mean, anger,
Right.
rage, you know.
That means you can be redeemed, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I'm a little deep into my story now, but maybe.
She's a ginger. There's no redemption for her.
That's true. That is so true. As a fellow ginger, you know.
What was the first movie you saw in the theater? Do you recall that?
Oh my God, no! When I was younger, I didn't get to see them in the theater because, like I said, I was born in 1980, so I didn't get a chance to see any of the originals in theater.
Oh, okay.
And the most recent one that I saw in theater was Force Awakens, and then the rest of them I just watched at home once they came out on streaming. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Well, I was living in California at the time. I was really busy.
Yeah, I remember because when Rogue One came out, I remember texting you, asking if you were going. You're like, the theater's like an hour away. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. And I was like, how are you not going to make it?
I know, it was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah, but I'm all caught up now. So.
And so you, and I think I saw a note that Jay put in there. Were you in the 501st?
I am. Yep.
You are still. in the
Yes.
501st.
Yeah. All my stuff is in storage, and I haven't even had a chance to troop because I literally, as soon as I finished my TIE pilot, COVID hit and everything got shut down. And so for 2 years, I wasn't able to troop. And then I moved to the East Coast again, and all my stuff is in storage. So I still can't troop because I moved. So it was just like a complete series of unfortunate events only in real life. So I'm waiting to go back to California and get my stuff.
That was before COVID. I guess I thought it was during, because I remember like you always posting videos. Like you made everything from scratch and the painting and everything of it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It took me 6 months to do. But like the actual like serious lockdowns started like right after I finished, which sucked.
She wore that as her mask, just walking around the house in her flight suit. Just on time.
I wore it to the store once. I literally wore the entire TIE pilot because I was like, I'm going to get something out of this. And I wore it and nobody appreciated it because it was like the armpit of California. So
Okay.
Well, I was hoping somebody would come up and say, hey, Finn said it doesn't filter out toxins, the mask. So this isn't going to work.
yeah, living in California, you have to worry about that. So
So how did you get into that? How did you get into the 501st, and how long did you have to hide that from your family?
I have always wanted to be, as soon as I found out about the 501st, God, it had to be 10 years ago. It had to be. I wanted to be the first female Kylo Ren, actually, because that was like, it was like 8 years ago when first I wanted to be a stormtrooper. That was my very first. I wanted to be an original trilogy stormtrooper. And then The Force Awakens came out. I wanted to be the first female Kylo Ren, but Dawn beat me to it, who is amazing. And I was just in awe of how fast she came up with it. And so then I kind of went, I don't really have to do that. It's a really expensive costume. So then I still wanted to be a stormtrooper, but then I just had this opportunity to do a TIE pilot. So I was like, okay, if this is the first thing I have to do, like first I was just like an officer. So I just had like, I just had the suit and I was like, I could turn this into a TIE pilot. And then that's exactly what I did. So that's how I kind of rolled into it. My family's disowned me. No, I'm just kidding.
You should do the Kylo Ren, what is he, the Death Star officer or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
The Matt, the
Matt.
whatever he is.
Matt,
worker.
the manager or whatever it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Disgruntled. I thought you did a Kylo Ren.
I didn't. I wanted to. That was like my big thing. That was what I really wanted to do, but I didn't do it fast enough, and I didn't have the funding at the time because the Kylo Ren costume is so expensive. Just the material alone for the robes is it used to be. I don't know if it is now, but it used to be outrageous.
Okay.
Well, cool. Well, thank you. I'd like to get a taste of where everybody kind of comes from on that front, as far as where their fandom started, because so many people, it hits them at different times, and we've talked to different people who have like, it was, like the Clone Wars cartoon that got them going, or whatever prequel stuff, and then also we've talked to some people who are original trilogy. So I just was curious, kind of where it started for you, because we're older than you, and I went and saw the original when I was like 3.
Awesome.
Or 2.5 or 3, so I don't remember that. I remember seeing a replay later, like because they kept re-releasing it.
Yeah.
And I remember I have a very, very vague memory of that. So I just was curious when it kind of landed for you.
Yeah.
But we can get into the Starcruiser stuff.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Jay.
Hold on, let me get my tissue.
Yeah, get it out. Okay, so originally, You got invited after a Comic-Con you were at recently, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was the most insane thing that ever happened to me. I heard about the Starcruiser when it first came out. And of course, it was like, yeah, right. I'm never going to be able to afford that because that's what everybody thought. I didn't realize the nuances of that price tag and what you could do to get there. So I was actually working the Long Island Doctor Who convention because my friend runs it. And he was like, hey, do you want to be, Paul McGann's personal assistant? And it was like a last minute thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I meet this person, Jen, who has become my friend. And within an hour of meeting her, we were just sitting there drinking a bottle of port wine. And she's like, like it was so freaking random.
Spotchka.
It was, yeah, right. So we're sitting there and we're just like, we're just shooting the shit, drinking. Mm-hmm. And within an hour of getting to know her, she's like, oh, you should come on the Starcruiser with me. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I should.
Just got to rob this bank first and then I'll be right there.
Like it wasn't even like it was just like, yeah, sure. And of course I have the type of friends where like we make plans, but then they never really like amount to anything.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, okay. So then the next day we're in the dealer's room hanging around. We have another friend who runs a thing in the dealer's room. And
what is the dealer's room?
Oh, it's where everybody who has like a booth can go in, like everybody can like go in and sell their wares. Okay. So it's called the dealer's room. It's not like drug deals. Although you never know.
You dabble.
So my friends, we have like a mutual friend who has a booth in the dealer's room. And she's like, so you're going on the Starcruiser with me, right? And I was like, you were serious about that? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I didn't say that just because I was drinking. And I was like, well, damn. So I was like, so later I'm like, okay, I'll think about it. And then later on, I'm like, hey, like, how much would I need, to kind of like, go and like experience this? And she's like, oh, no. It's all taken care of. I already paid for everything. And I'm like,
oh, shit.
What?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it's already, I already booked it and everything. I already paid for it. Like, you don't have to worry about it.
Now, hold on. How skeptical were you of this? Like, were you like, I'm going to have to give this woman favors? Like,
she's going to murder me in my sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
All of
like,
those.
there's going to be Polaroids of me, like, every minute sleeping. Yeah. I'm going to wake up with a lightsaber in my ass. Like,
I mean, that might be someone's kink.
Whatever you're into, sure. It's worth the Starcruiser. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's just a bonus. I don't know what you're talking about. But so all of those things ran through my head. And I was like, if this is legit, is what I kept saying. If this is legit, I might go on the Starcruiser. It was all this like very tentative language, might and if and legit. But we had all these mutual friends and like friends that I had known for a long time. And they were like, they vouched for Jen. And I was like, okay. So, and another friend of mine, Abby, was going. And Abby I've known for a while. So it was just the three of us. It was going to be like a girls' week, in Florida, plus the Starcruiser.
Was it shared one room, like the one bed and then the two bunks?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then they have like a thing that comes out of the wall that like basically is another bed. So
okay.
It's like a Murphy. It's a Star Wars Murphy bed.
It's exactly except sideways. Yeah, exactly. Like it sounds less uncomfortable than it actually is, and honestly, I would sleep there over my own bedroom any day of the week in the bunk.
Oh yeah.
I always had the bottom bunk. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
It was incredible that I was invited.
When was this roughly time wise?
I was invited in August, and we went on the cruise the 6th to the 8th of September.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
This is, okay. Gotcha.
So 2 weeks after meeting this human that I had never known, I flew down to Florida and slept in the same room with them. So it was bizarre. Man. Yeah.
So what were your expectations like going into it? Like, what were you thinking?
Honestly, I had absolutely no idea because once I realized that it was once I thought it was out of my price range, I didn't even want to tempt myself by looking into it too deeply because I was one of the people who listened to all the naysayers and all that, like, that hype that's really de-hype that was online about it and how it was too expensive and it wasn't worth it. So I was like, so I didn't even I had no expectations. So when I got there, I can't even explain. And we try to tell like other people that are on the Starcruiser, we have a support group because once you come down off that emotional drop, we actually have support groups that we're just like, I'm emotionally shattered right now. I don't know what to do with myself. And only
like a trauma clinic for you guys when you come off.
Withdrawals.
Like it seriously is. It's insane. And only other people on the Starcruiser really get it. And we try to explain it to other people. It's like one of those things where like when you're a kid and you have something really funny or awesome that you used to do with your sibling or your best friend.
Yeah.
And then you try to explain it to other people like later on, and people will nod their head and be like, yeah, that's cool. Or yeah, that's really funny. But only you and your sibling can look at each other and just like start laughing because you get it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like with the Starcruiser.
It's a 15-year like inside joke that your new friends group doesn't get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
I have so many questions. So is how immersive is it in like when it comes to dressing in the part? Because I'm sure you did, but I want to know what you guys kind of rock.
I have to say, I wish we were recording video because I haven't seen a human this happy. And I don't know how long. Like, look at her reliving this thing. She's just like glowing.
I'm
it's like
recording.
The lightsaber thing really happened, and she's like, "Oh, let me tell you."
I'm like ready to jump off the deep end. Like I'm like, let's go. Your question isn't even out, and I'm like, let's get into it.
No, yeah, it's basically the combination of how immersive does it feel, but also, and I guess part of that is everybody dressing up? Or do you see somebody in a pair of jeans and you're like, come on, like how does that work?
You ridicule them?
Well, first of all, there's no ridicule ever anywhere. I went the last time I went, because I went twice. I also went at the end of that's another story.
Plot twist.
Yeah, I went at the end of the month too. I went on the penultimate cruise, so I went it was like right before the end. And one of the people that I went with has never seen Star Wars.
Oh.
She has never seen Star Wars, but she wanted to go, and she had the time of her life, even though she had never seen Star Wars. So the community on the Starcruiser is so all-inclusive. It is just a community. What I say is it's what the world could be like if we all were like that all the time. I mean, nobody's ridiculing anyone. No one is degrading anybody. Nobody's quizzing anybody on their knowledge or like,
sure.
do you know, like, freaking Luke's second cousin's middle name from it's nothing like that. It's not like that at all. So
it's not like the online haters show up there to
exactly.
Okay.
Because they're not going to pay to go there, because they'd rather just hate on it online from far away and be jealous that they can't go. So that's fine. But yeah, so it's very much like all inclusive. I didn't really see anybody in regular clothing. And if they did show up in regular clothing, they changed, So some people there's one girl that I know that I met on there, Michelle, who changed into these gorgeous, elaborate costumes that she made. She handmade them. And I mean, she changed like 3-4 times a day. Jeez. Even some people changed for dinner, because the dinner is very much like full service dinner. It's like 5 or 7 courses plus desserts, and like it's unbelievable. When I say it's all inclusive, I mean it's all inclusive. It's so worth the money.
Well, I think if you have a half a dozen or more outfits that are Star Wars related, you're bringing them all.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
This is the place.
And you don't even have to carry your own luggage. When you show up, they get you free transport from the hotels or to the hotels, and they take all your stuff. You don't even touch anything. You just get out of the car, and they ask you what your backstory is. And if you say you're from California, they're going to be like, I've never heard of that planet before.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like,
it's
fully 100% always 24/7 immersive for the entire, 24/2 really, because it's only 2 days. Yeah. But yeah.
I want to hear what's your character's name and what was the backstory?
My character's name was Sareth Wraith. Or Zaith, sorry. I'm Starcruiser on the mind. Wraith is somebody on the Starcruiser. Sareth Zaith, and she's originally from Apatris. And she, that's where Bane is from, and that's my favorite of all the
I was just gonna say, Matt, are you looking this up? Where's that planet at?
Yeah, no kidding. I gotta get the
outer
map
rim.
out.
It's way in the outer rim. It's a nowhere crappy planet, mining planet. And basically she started to get angry because every time aid was sent out, throughout the galaxy. Her planet was always overlooked. So she started to get really angry and she had this rage building in her. And then one day she saw these weird writings and she heard a voice that seemed to be like, it was almost as if she was talking out loud to herself, but it was a voice that was basically, something told her that they were Sith writings and that she needed to go out and see if there were other Sith in the galaxies. So she ended up on the Starcruiser to try and kind of infiltrate and see if there was anyone in there that she could find that was also Sith or that had heard of Sith and give her more information.
Oh, cool.
Because there's a specific timeline you're supposed to be operating in, correct?
No, you actually do not have to.
Oh, it's wide open.
It
Okay.
doesn't matter. Yeah, even though the story on board is set in, it
Sequel trilogy, right?
it's Kylo Ren, it's Rey, it's, you know what I mean? So yeah, but it doesn't matter what your timeline is or where your person is from or if that planet has been destroyed, Alderaan. But yeah, it's just you can be from anywhere. So yeah. So that's how open it is, and that's what makes it so fun because nobody cares. Nobody's like, well, according to BBY, ABY, like nobody says that. It's just fun, and everybody just kind of like leans in with everybody else's stuff. So
okay, and so you're saying nobody ever really took you out of it. The people working there do such a great job. Everybody, all the other characters do such a good job. You never kind of taken out of it and feel like you're not in that world.
Nope. That is the whole reason why the emotional drop is so severe is because you're literally living Star Wars. People were complaining that there were no windows. Right. There are no windows. But the windows that are there, every single one of them is looking out into the part of space that would be in that part of the ship.
Out that window. Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite part was the bridge. The bridge is where I spent most of my time. You basically just sit.
You ate your meals there.
I had my calf there, but I didn't eat my meals there because you're not allowed to have meals there because of all the controls and everything. God forbid if you spill something on the hyperspace, like forget it, like we're screwed, we're stuck. So the bridge was like and it's so much bigger than it appears in the pictures and in the videos. I mean, the bridge is enormous and there's just all these controls and you get to go to the bridge and you get to do bridge training where you learn all the controls and like it's almost like a huge video game, but it doesn't look like a green screen or like 2D or anything. When you're looking out and you're doing controls and you're like grabbing cargo or you're taking shields down by blasting, it all looks like it's actually happening outside of this enormous window. It's insane. Like I cannot even explain it to you because it's so incredible.
It's like almost ridiculous that they even have like rooms, like I guess like to retreat to for a minute, but like how are you going to sleep? I know they're pumping more oxygen than a Vegas casino and their food has to be laced with cocaine. I mean, for the $5,000 or whatever it costs for these people to go, like I'm not sleeping for days.
Yeah.
It's hard to sleep just because of all the excitement. And plus you have the sublight lounge at night. So when everything dies down, because once the immersion of the story, like that's happening on the ship, because everything is ship wide. So when there's an alert because Lieutenant Croy comes onto the ship, there's an alert for the entire ship. You know what I mean? So if you're in your room, all of a sudden lights are flashing and you get the announcement.
Shit.
Like it's insane. So and the stormtroopers are coming in and they're just walking around and they're like trying to be menacing, but they're really wicked goofy. But like it's so amazing. But then after that main story is over and everybody's just kind of like relaxing. You have dinner. You take in a Gaia show, which Gaia is the intergalactic superstar that we all are huge fans of now on the ship.
Is that a singer?
Yes. Yeah. I have videos of all of this. Like I can give you guys footage if you want.
And I assume like what you're saying then they let you take any picture and video you want.
Yeah. The only thing you can't do, because there are different storylines, the only thing you can't do is record secret meetings. When you get called into a secret meeting by, say, Wraith or by Gaia or Awani or whatever. Well, Awani doesn't really call anybody. She's Rhodian. But like, it's just like...
I love this. I'm so mad I'm not going now.
Oh, my God. It's so amazing. And she's Gaia's like DJ. So, but like... when you get called into these secret meetings, you can't record. Like one time I was on the first one, I was recording, and I think it was Wraith. And he was like, he looked over at me and he saw me recording. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm taking a holo scan." And he's like, "No, you're not. Put it away." And I'm like, "Sorry, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be recording the secret meetings." Because I'm just like, I'm like trying to take in everything. I'm like, "Oh my God, this is
It would have
so
been
cool."
awesome if they would have put you in the brig.
Yeah.
They do put you in the brig. They can put you in the brig. Yeah. You can go in the brig. There's a secret code to get in. They actually throw the stormtroopers in there at one point. Like they actually, like they get the people involved in everything. So everything that happens, there's like a coaxium shipment that comes in and it needs to be hidden from like Lieutenant Croy and the troopers. And like they get everybody in on it. They make everybody a part of it. And I know there was one thing in particular that Jen talked about on her Facebook where there was a girl in a wheelchair there, and just to make, like, she felt included in the story, and it made her so emotional because she was the one who was taking the coaxium and like hiding it, and they were like, they were all shielding around her, and it just made it so inclusive. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how you identify, anything. It's 100% inclusive. It's incredible.
I was hoping that if they put you in the brig, that they made you escape through vents.
They do.
That's do they?
They do. There's a vent that I actually crawled through the vent. Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, this is insane.
Yeah, you can actually crawl through the vent from the brig.
That is.
See,
very
now
cool.
that I'm hearing this, I'm like, they needed to put a second hotel up. Like they just
right.
Like Starcruiser to something else. Like
all they needed was people that had experienced it, and then talk about it in this way. And it wasn't, honestly, I've paid more for like per night for a Disney hotel that didn't have half of what was included in the Galactic Starcruiser.
Yeah, right.
Honestly. I mean,
exactly.
If you go, the last time I went, I was again invited by these people who saw something that I wrote in one of the groups, and they were like, "Well, we have to go again so we can bring Christina." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So that was like a huge thing. So, and that time I did pay my way, but it was like, it was me and 4 other people, and it turned out to be like $1,400 and something for each of us. But you're talking about 2 nights, 3 days, a trip into Batuu for free with lightning passes, and they give you a voucher for a meal and a drink, and not just like a drink, but like a libation. And then everything non-alcoholic for drinks, and that includes sodas, caf, anything, is 100% like all you can drink, all you can eat food for breakfast and lunch. It's a buffet style. They just keep putting out more and more food. And then you get like a 5 or 7 course dinner with the show with Gaia at the end of the night. And I mean, it's just like, plus you get the immersive experience. And honestly, I've paid $700 a night for a hotel in Disney that didn't have any of that. Didn't have food included. It was like that crappy continental breakfast. Like, okay, so I got concierge service, great. But this has full concierge too. Like when you are checking out, which is the saddest part of the whole time, but when you're checking out, you just put your bags outside your door and somebody just comes and whisks it away. And when you're being showed around in the atrium for the first like introductions with the captain and everything, I don't even know how they do it or where they go, but they take all your luggage and they get it to your room, and you never see them do it.
Oh,
it's insane.
Clever.
Yeah.
And what is it? There's like a few hundred people or so at a time. Like, do you know how many people it was roughly?
I want to say that on average it was like 350 people at a time.
Okay.
So I guess they take the average of like how many people can fit in the atrium at once. So,
okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, but they have 100 rooms, and you got to figure if 5 people can fit into each of those rooms, it can fit 500 people.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So
and it never feels like you're being whisked onto the next thing. It's just totally open. Is that right?
100% open. There were things that I didn't do on my first time. I had my friends were all light. Both my friends were light side, and I was dark side. So my friend Jen was like, "Nope, you're not allowed to hang out with us." So I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff. Like on the light side. So, because I kind of was playing both sides. And then when I went with my second group, they totally accepted me, even though I was not on their side. And so I got to do a lot of things that I didn't do last time. But you can just, and they encourage you to do that. When you first walk in, they're like, if you see a group of people that you feel like, something's going on, walk up and talk to them. Start interacting with them and get involved. And if you think other people want to be involved in it, bring them in too. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's just, it doesn't matter. You can wander around and do absolutely nothing and just take in the ship, or you can get into absolutely every storyline there is, and there are tons of storylines to get into.
Well, it's cool that it's, everybody's experience is different. I mean, I was thinking about this from a much, much, much smaller scale. Years and years ago, I went and did like that. Have you ever heard of like the Tony and Tina's wedding? Like where you go to this wedding and basically you experience it. They all walk up to you like they know you.
Yep.
The whole thing is played out that way. It sounds like that to like the 100th degree.
It is.
Because what I experienced when I went to that was it's like, like I would be in one room eating dinner with these people. Totally different experience from people on the other side of the restaurant.
Right.
Yep.
So it's cool that everybody kind of has their own unique experience.
Exactly. And I mean, the friends that you make, I mean, the last time I went, this is amazing because I think to just build on what you were saying, it's like, you may not have become friends with those people that came up to you and pretended that they knew you at the wedding. Here, you instantly bond with these people and they're your friends for life. I mean, I met one of my friends, Elliot, who goes by One-Eyed Jedi on Instagram. Mm-hmm. He had a protocol droid on his as a shoulder, like he had like the face plate as his like shoulder plate, and one of the eyes was missing, and he only has one eye. His name is One-Eyed Jedi, so
Sure.
He had that with a light in it as his eye patch, and it was just so cool.
Oh, wow.
But I met him at night on the first day. So by the second day, 24 hours later, the story's done. And the next morning you have to leave. And that's the saddest part about it, because you're really only there for a full 24 hours to get to really get into it. I mean, you're there for more than that, but that 24 hours is the most immersive and most important. And I met him the night before because he just randomly said something to me in the engineering room. Like, does it always get cold when you walk by? Because I was in Sith robes. So, so we start talking. And then the next day, when the fireworks are going, because they do these fireworks and everybody's emotional, like even the crew is crying at the end of it.
I thought like she was falling in love with One-Eyed Jedi and the fireworks were going.
No. He's taken.
And then she learns his name is like Bill and lives in like Montana.
He's an accountant.
Yeah.
I don't want to know this.
I like the other version.
No, his
You're
name is
ruining
Elliot.
it.
He's amazing. And that's the thing, like, that you're all regular people, like at the heart of it. But when you're
Sure.
on there, so the fireworks are going at the end of the second night. And I'm sobbing because this is my last time on the ship ever. It's the penultimate cruise. It's the last night. I'm absolutely full body sobbing. And he turns around and he looks at me and he just puts his arms out. This is a person I met 24 hours before. And I don't cry in front of people. I don't even cry in front of my family. I fall into his arms like a child and I sob on his protocol droid fucking shoulder, like literally full body, heaving chest. Exactly. Like I just met him, and then I actually ended up meeting the owner of the Scum and Villainy Cantina, JC too. It was like we had this little group, and it was like JC, Elliot, Jazz and I like talk all the time now. And he's from Austria, and JC is from I think he's from California originally. And it's like just all these people from different parts of the world, and like now we're all friends, and like I don't think there's been a day that's gone by that Jazz and I haven't talked. And it's
That's
just
awesome.
like, that's what it's like. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like you meet these people and you're best friends for the rest of your life. It's unbelievable. And the fact that I sobbed on somebody after knowing them for 24 hours, that will never not be a thing for me, because I'm just not that person. I haven't cried yet. So
You're doing great.
I know you haven't.
I
And
haven't.
I'm bummed about the whole thing. I was hoping
We'll get her there. You mentioned the cantina, but you also mentioned the Starlight Lounge. Are those two different things? So there's like a
Yes.
kind of a like a more casual cantina place, and the Starlight Lounge is a little bit more clubby. Is that how that works?
Well, the cantina is off the ship. That's actually in Hollywood, California.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But the
Gotcha.
sublet
where
lounge,
Kevin Smith does his podcast, or used to.
Yeah. They do live streaming now. So actually, JC and Elliot do live streaming together all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the sublight, I'm glad you brought me back to that, because that is where most of our bonding time. They have this huge holographic sabacc table, and like,
Yeah, I saw the
oh my
pictures.
God, it is the coolest thing, because your cards are actually holographic and no one else can see them, even though we're all sitting at this table. That's,
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it's not
Shit.
that big, but it's big.
Yeah.
I mean, I want one. I want one at home. I'm trying to figure out how to make one because...
Do they give you a tutorial or did you know how to play sabacc?
I knew how to play sabacc before,
Okay.
but I needed a refresher from someone because I was like, I haven't played in like 5 years. Can someone refresh me? And they were just like, yep, number first and then, symbols second. And I was like, got it. All right. And then... and then we just all played sabacc, and you have imaginary credits because, it's already credits that are programmed into the machine, so you don't actually have to lose anything. But people were actually trading stuff. I actually got some credits and some sabacc chips just from winning games because people had them as gifts. That's another thing. Everybody gives each other gifts. I mean, it's incredible. Everything I'm wearing on my wrist is a gift. Like, I have a whole table behind this dark wall of gifts that people have given me because that's just what you do.
Now, if you were playing sabacc and you heard a voice from behind you that said, "What do we have here?" and Billy D. Williams sat down, you really would have bawled.
Actually, not Billy D, but Neil Patrick Harris was on my first trip.
What?
Yeah.
And his husband.
Yeah, she's got pictures with him.
I have pictures with
way.
him. Yeah, he was there with his
way.
husband. They were fully immersed. When I called him Neil, he was like, "Who?" He's like, "I don't know any Neil." And I'm like, "Oh," I'm
You're
like,
Doogie? No, not Doogie. Okay.
Doogie Darksaber?
And I was like, "Can I get a holo with you?" And he was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, there's a bounty on your head, and I'm going to spare you, but I want to take the picture to show that I've met up with you and tell them that I've taken you out and gotten the bounty." And he was like, "Okay." So that's how I got my picture with him and why he looks like angry in my picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was all dressed up? Like, how was he dressed?
He looked like a scoundrel, basically. He just was dressed in kind of like scoundrel. He had like a scar on his face. Cool. I forget what his name was. It was like Zed, I think was his name on there. And his husband was there as well. And they had someone else with them. But yeah, we were playing sector set together, just space bingo. And I kept looking back, because we only had one left each, like me and Doogie Howser, and me and Barney Stinson. And he's my favorite. And I was like looking back at him and I was like giving him the evil eye. And he was laughing his ass off. And he's like, "You're taking this so seriously." I was like, "Dude, just the fact that I made you laugh is enough to just make my whole trip even better."
Yeah.
So it was
so cool.
awesome. Yeah. So not Billy D, but
you can hang out in that lounge as long as you want. There's no like get out of here. You can only be in here for a while because we got more people that need to come in or any of that. Because that's what it's like when you go to Galaxy's Edge and you go to Oga's Cantina or whatever. You only have is it an hour and a half or something like that?
45 minutes.
Oh, it's 45.
45
sorry.
minutes.
What?
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, you just go there and there's nobody else coming in because it's just everybody who's on the ship is on the ship. So you don't have to worry about people like cycling through. But I mean, eventually at like 3 a.m, they're kind of like, "Okay, we're shutting it down." But but everybody just we just stay and we drink and it's unbelievable. They have like a crate reactor that we got that was just, it was like all tequila and it's like 4 people can drink out of it. And it's just
shit.
It is so cool.
Shit.
I mean, it's amazing.
Was anybody just bombed?
I know.
Yeah. Yep. A couple people I hung out with.
I think we're talking to her.
No. I was actually disappointed because I had one of the whole things of the crate reactor, one of the 4, and it was so strong with tequila. And I was like, maybe because I'm Irish? I don't know, but I'm not even drunk.
It's probably a combination of that and the adrenaline.
The
high you were
adrenaline.
on just like killed it all.
Yeah, it really
Nothing
did.
can stop this.
It did, yeah. I think that's what it was.
That's why she was emotional. Like, it made her emotional later on. She just couldn't tell.
No, honestly, because at that point, 10 o'clock in the morning the next day, me sobbing on the way out, that was just pure emotion and emotional drop from leaving.
That was both times, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, did you say you knew that you were coming back? You didn't know you were coming back when you were leaving the first time?
No, I didn't. I thought that was it. And I was like, well, it's closing at the end of the month. That's it. And then I was desperately trying, and my friend Jen got in immediately. Again, she found a group that needed a 5th person or a 4th person in their bunk. And she got on immediately. And I was like, oh man, I should try getting on again just cause. I'm like, I don't know how the heck I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to get down to Florida. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but I will sell a kidney if I have to. And that's the thing about it is like, yeah, it might be expensive in terms of like, about $1,500 for 2 nights, but we would literally do anything to get back on it. And there were people who were planning on going at least once a year. And I was one of those people. If it wasn't closing down, I would have gone at least once a year, if not 5 or 6. But yeah, so I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to do it. So we had this thing called the Sweet Finder. It's one of the groups that we're in, not anymore, but, and I would just put it out there, and then I didn't get any bites. And then I was like, some people are reposting. Maybe I'll repost. So I reposted it. One last thing, it was like, I don't know, a week before when I went on again. And these people, like 3 days after I posted it, I was like, I had given up hope at that point. I'm like, no, this isn't going to happen. Oh, well, I'll just take my lumps, whatever. And then like 3 days later, somebody is like, hey, my friend Amanda is trying to add you on Facebook. If you add her, I think she has some good news for you. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't see the friend request because I have like some from like 3 years ago. I still haven't answered. I'm a terrible person.
Jay, for instance.
If there's somebody I haven't answered that you guys know personally, please tell me. I will add them. I'm just so selective about it because there are so many people I've had to like add and then delete. So I didn't even see it. So I added her and they invited me on their next trip. And it was like at that point, it was maybe like 5 days after. And I was like, how am I going to do this? And they were like, do you want to go? And I'm like, yes. I don't have any money, but yes, I do want to go. So I was like, it was like I wasn't going to have it until the following Friday after we got off. But I was like, hey, big brother, can I borrow $1,500 from you until Friday? And luckily he said yes. But they didn't even ask me for the money until like days after we disembarked anyway. So It was like, it turned out perfectly.
So be honest.
Okay.
How was the food? Because I asked this because when I went to Galaxy's Edge, the food was kind of meh, and Disneyland food can kind of be meh. So I was just curious. What I assume because you're paying the premium or whatever, the food's going to be way ratcheted up.
The food was incredible, and everyone will attest to that went on the Starcruiser. It was incredible. The desserts were amazing. Even just we actually, again, another group, we're recreating the recipes of the Starcruiser because they were so good. Like just the little Starcruiser waffles that they would give us in the morning, or the eggs, or the blue milk yogurt. Like everything was just incredible. It was so delicious and sumptuous. Like I can't even tell you. It was amazing.
You couldn't ask them the recipe? Because I know at most of the restaurants in Disney, they'll give you a card.
Really?
We didn't think of it, I think, because we were they do give you, I did ask for it because of Jazz, because Jazz was like, these are great, try this, because Jazz would just be like, try this, because he's like such a foodie. And so I tried it was like a thing of sweetbreads, and this one was like kind of a croissant-y kind of texture with like this stuff in them. I don't even know what the hell the stuff was in the middle, but it was so good. And and so he was like, hey, I got a box of these to go. And I was like, you can do that? And so I went in and asked, and they gave me like a box, as many as they can stuff into a box. They just give them to you so that you can go. Like it's unbelievable. And not even just the food, but the snacks. Like everybody's like not stole, but everybody took snacks with them to go.
I thought she was going to say the sex.
The sex was incredible.
I didn't have any sex on the Starcruiser. That would have been awesome, though.
You have to take part in 4 sessions with strangers.
I was going to say that is a whole nother story that would be funny to hear from somebody where they're like, oh, yeah, I met someone.
Yeah.
I met someone, yeah.
We had to kick their 3 roommates out, but, we got after it.
But the orgies were incredible. Yeah.
I was going to say, Jay, how many crate steak sandwiches would you have if you were on?
Oh, I'd live on them. Do they have a crate steak sandwich?
They didn't have that, but they had these. I didn't eat. Okay, so wait. I didn't
That's why
eat
I didn't
it
go.
because I don't eat bantha. But they had this bantha dish, right? That every single person that I spoke to afterwards, because all my roommates were like, that is the best thing I've ever had. That is the best. I mean, basically, it was just like a fillet, or like a like a fillet, or like a prime rib or something like that.
Right.
And every single other person started talking about it, and they were like, this is the best piece of meat I have ever had in my life. I mean, that's how good it was. And these are people that are foodies, that travel everywhere, that have been everywhere on the planet. So that's saying something.
Can you order room service?
You can't order room service, but you can literally go to the Crown of Corellia dining room at any point and eat all day long. You can eat from 7 a.m. until dinner, until just before dinner. Like after lunch service, there's only a couple hours. Like lunch service is like until I think 3. And then the first dinner is at 5:30. So I was consistently overly stuffed because like we would just have breakfast and then we'd have lunch and you get to go up and get as much as you want. And then in between, they have all these snacks. They have these orange cookies that everybody's trying to get because they're coveted. And then they have this like spicy cheese popcorn that everybody like took with them. I have a bag of it back there that I haven't opened yet.
Oh, is that what the Bad Batch they're always eating?
Probably.
What is that stuff called? It was called something mix. I can't remember the name of it now.
There was a mix there too that looked like rocks and stuff, but it was actually like chocolate and peanuts. And it was every single snack there was absolutely phenomenal. And I'm a picky person when it comes to snacks. I'm like, I don't like this, but I like that, or, whatever. But everything was amazing.
You could wander around all hours of the night, or is it like Andor, they turn the floors on and you have to be in your room?
You're electrocuted.
No, you can wander. I mean, friends on the the first trip, my friends and I wandered around taking pictures. There's a picture of me in one of the lifts with my arm up. I think you've probably seen it, Jay, where I have like my arm up and I'm like standing there with like my bag on. That picture was taken at like 3:30 in the morning because we were just wandering around taking pictures of each other and like hanging out. You can go to there's a climate simulator. So like if you need air, there's like it's a climate simulator, but it's really just a room with like, so in Florida air. But like they have all
where you can go to smoke.
You can't,
right.
you can't smoke. You can't smoke. You have to go all the way down on the lift. And the kids there, that's another thing. Kids are just able to just run free here because everybody's safe. There wasn't a single person that I've ever met or known anybody else who has ever met anybody who isn't safe on the Starcruiser. Like we have a saying, Starcruiser people are the best people, and it's the truth. There's no bad people that went. It's just, or at least not that I've met anecdotally, there's not a single person that I wouldn't trust with my life that I went on the cruise with. And that's part of the experience, I think.
Did you do the lightsaber training?
Yes, both times.
How was that?
It was amazing. And people were making fun of it and they're like, oh, this is so dumb. It's not. And it's not even just the fact that it's immersive.
I want to live my life through your eyes. Like, she's so like...
Because you have to take into consideration all the nuances of what was happening, So people were like, "Oh, it's so dumb! Like you just do the thing." But it's, first of all, it's fully immersive again, and the sages who train you in the lightsaber training are 100% in character, and then all of a sudden, like, Yoda comes on and starts talking about you not being ready yet, and it's like his voice is coming through like at all sides, and it's like this emotional experience, and it's absolutely, if people just look at it as like playing with lightsabers and it's so stupid, it's like this little thing, and like it's not. Of course you're going to think it's stupid, but when you look at it as they're teaching you to work as a team and it's an emotional experience, it's 100% immersive. And then the Saja at the end of our last lesson on the penultimate cruise, it was his very last time ever doing it. And he started to get choked up and cry. And we all cried with this man that we've known for half an hour. I mean, because he was like, this is my last time, like, and he's like, I have to go on another planet, or
stabs himself.
But like, seriously though, like it was like he was emotional at the end of it. And then we all got emotional and we stood in this like circle with him and we were just like, it was amazing.
Two things. One is, if you're going on this, it's like, if you're going to go in with the attitude of this is stupid for certain things, like, what are you even doing?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's kind of dumb.
Exactly.
But the other thing is, I know if Yoda's voice came over the, whatever, you heard Yoda's voice saying you're not ready, Jay would be like, Yoda, why don't you keep my name out your fucking mouth?
Well, eventually he says that you're ready after some more training.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you win him over. Okay.
Yeah, you do. You win him over. And that's tough, with Master Yoda. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Galaxy's Edge. So you get, is it the second day you go there or the first day you go there, and you get sort of preferential line treatment?
You do, yeah. So when you get there the first day, you kind of just get introduced to everything, and you get shown to your room, and there's the story and everything, and then you kind of just like do your thing for the night, go to the sublight, meet people. The second day you wake up and it's literally a day into Batuu, so it's an excursion into Batuu, and of course there's a whole and that's the other thing that I just want to do side note here, is that everything is so immersive that even when you get on a transport to go to Batuu, you don't know what you're in. Like it's like a transport, like it's completely ambiguous. You walk through this door that's attached to the Starcruiser, that's attached to your ship that you're on, and it's completely, there's like a droid like talking to you and playing like cantina music and stuff, and like tuning into like different frequencies in the galaxy, and you have absolutely no idea where you're going, what kind of vehicle you're in, anything. And
so you can't hear like the diesel engine because you're like in the back of a cargo truck.
Exactly. So like when they're selling your kidneys later, you have no idea. Yeah, so it's completely ambiguous. And then when you get out, it's that part of Batuu that you can't go into. And they have it in Disneyland too, which is funny because there's nothing behind those doors. But there's like a cargo bay door there, and like you go through this thing. And then there's like just like a walkway, and it's all obviously like Star Wars themed, and it's just like it's completely ambiguous. You have absolutely no idea. And when you go into Batuu, you get a special pin that says that you're with the Starcruiser basically, and you get lightning pass abilities for everything. And also, you have a data pad, so you're supposed to be doing, depending on what you do, and everything that you interact with will have an effect. So it's cause and effect. So if I go up to a door and I put my M band up to it and try to get into it and it's locked, I get a thing that pops up on my data pad that says, hi, I see you tried to get into that room. You know, that one's off limits. But if you do this favor for me, maybe I'll let you in. Like that type of thing, right? So that's how immersive it is. And that's all on your data pad, your phone. So it's like an app that you have on your phone. And that carries right over to Batuu. So you go over there and you're doing all these missions. Mine were for Lieutenant Croy, but I also did them for other people because I was playing both sides the second time. And you have to get on rides in order to fulfill your your quest, basically. Is you have to go on rides and you have to scan things, and it's cool because you know those huge antenna, like those huge towers that are in Batuu. So you can hack into those on your data pad when you're doing stuff for the Starcruiser, and all of a sudden it'll like, I have videos of it, it'll start to like whine and then shut down, and you can shut down like the Ronto roaster. And like everything, like all of a sudden like the droid stops going, and like only people that are on the Starcruiser could do that. So it's like crazy. Really cool. So you're going around and you're messing with everything in Batuu, and you're like, this is so cool. And nobody knows. Like people will walk by the antenna and be looking at it like, what the hell just happened? And you're like, you're like, you got your little data pad. So yeah, and then they offer you cold towels and all the water that you can drink while you're there. If you get thirsty or if you're hot, you can just walk back in and they give you a cold towel, give you a water, and then send you back on your way. They give you a voucher for food and drink.
Did any of the people walking around, just the regular people going through Galaxy's Edge, think like you were part of the show?
My first time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, my first time, I bought my robes there, and they're very Sithy, and I made them, of course, look even more evil, if you want to call Sith evil. And most people probably would.
Perspective.
And then I had these boots that my friend Jen let me borrow, and I was walking around like, of course, I'm like confidently walking around like, I got a data pad, and I'm going to hack into shit, and like, I'm a Sith. And people were literally like, one little girl like, pointed at me and went, oh, Mommy, look. And I was like, oh, day made. Like, oh, that's so awesome. So, and like people were like looking and like trying to like figure out who I was and stuff. So I don't know if it happened to other people. I'm sure, because I had friends who were dressed in the second one. On my second trip, people were dressed in full Mando gear I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were amazing and they looked incredible.
That's cool that you feel like you're kind of in on it too. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're kind of, you're not necessarily a guest just walking around. You're part of the show. Because when I went to Galaxy's Edge, I was blown away by just how immersive that is. Because even walking around and the set designs and all that stuff, even just these little nuanced little details, they really paid attention to all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So taking that and then just ramping it up a million to be on the Starcruiser, I can imagine that would just be overwhelming. Like you mentioned, getting the ride to take you over and not being aware of kind of what you're in. To a degree, the Rise of the Resistance ride, there's some parts that are like that, where you get on the ship or whatever, and all of a sudden you come out and you're in a totally different place, it feels like, and you realize that you probably didn't really go anywhere, but it feels like you did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it's like with the Starcruiser. I mean, just getting on it and getting that, your transport up to the ship. It's like, it's an elevator that moves slowly, but when you look at the top, like there are these windows. They're not really windows. They're kind of like oval shaped. And you look up and it's actually you going into hyperspace and then having the transport pulled in like into the ship. Like it's unbelievable. And they play like the emotional music from Rise of Skywalker, like that one track from like from the album. And it's so emotional. And when you're going, it's really important to note that when you're first getting on there and you're in that transport and you're listening to music and you're watching out the window, you're so excited and there's all this excitement and adrenaline and but then on the way out when it's happening, you're sobbing. I mean, my friend Daniela that I met there was literally holding on to me with both arms, like around with her head, like right here, just sobbing on me. And I'm holding her and I'm like taking a video with my other hand and we're both just full body sobbing because that's how emotional it is when you're leaving because of that immersive experience.
Because when you pull up, how does it go when you pull up to this place? Is it like it's just an exterior building that you pull up to when you
just pull up and honk?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's like you go into this random parking lot that doesn't look like anything. And then you get up to this gate and these guys come up and they're like, name, and like, they're all official. And, they're like, oh, are you here to, go on the Starcruiser and, whatever. And then you have to like clear, you have to like, get clearance to go in. And then you go in and it's just this, again, ambiguous gray building that just looks, it's like this slate gray building that says Galactic Starcruiser on the side. And it doesn't look like anything impressive at all. And I think that's maybe where some of the people misconstrue it because they look at it and they're like, it's just this stupid gray building that looks like a warehouse.
Looks cheap or something, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, there's no windows, people were mad there was no pool. I'm like, you don't need a pool. Trust me. Like, this is not something where you're like, gee, I'd love to go for a dip.
If you're going there to swim, like...
I would say if there was some sort of spa, like Bacta tanks or something, I would maybe take that. But the swimming pool, come on.
And if they had a pool, they have to have the frog lady in there, like just trying to get her eggs the whole time.
Eggs at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, people were honestly mad there was no pool. I'm like, if you want to take time to go swimming in this experience, then you're not here for the Star Wars experience or the immersion at all. Because there was nothing. I'm a swimmer. There's nothing I want to do more than be in the water. I mean, that's just, that's me. But there's nothing I wanted to do less while I was there. I didn't even want to sleep while I was there, let alone swim. And that's the way it was for all of us. So people who didn't go had these complaints that just, unfortunately, they just exploded and everybody heard these complaints and they listened. Unfortunately, it was like mass hysteria. It was ridiculous.
Well, that's the thing is like the internet, the loudest shit is the people who complain.
It's always the negative
that's true.
stuff.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's 100% true.
Well, it's also why you see like you have to take that with a grain of salt whenever you see reviews of something like of a restaurant or whatever, because people will either take the time to say it was overwhelmingly great or most likely will complain about something. Nobody ever says like, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Exactly.
But, so as far as the kind of the people you experienced and was it just a wide variety of every Star Wars creature you could imagine kind of thing? Like I would be remiss if I didn't ask for a listener of our show if you saw an Ithorian on the Starcruiser.
I did not.
No Ithorians.
He would be the Ithorian.
They're not allowed on the Starcruiser. And big ass feet take up the hallway.
Like if you're talking in terms of like the crew or just people who showed up.
In general, I just meant overall, like what you're seeing when you walk around is are you seeing, because you mentioned there was a Rhodian and stuff like that, and so I was just wondering like how many different species are you seeing out there?
There weren't a lot of different species in terms of the crew, but people who show up definitely do get creative.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. They get really, and you're able, that's another thing about going into Batuu on your excursion day, you can wear full body armor. And now you can't do that if anybody knows Disneyland and Disney World. You know, you can't even wear a mask or a cape. But when you do the Galactic Starcruiser, you can wear whatever you want. You can wear
because you're coming in
face
through
paint, everything.
Yeah.
So,
but they do not let you bring any sort of weapon type thing, right? Like no like blaster type looking thing or sabers. Is that correct?
You can bring sabers.
Oh, you can bring sabers. Okay.
Yep. We have pictures. We have like professional pictures that we got taken with our sabers. And if you're getting professional pictures taken, you can even have the blade in. They only ask that you take the blade out if you're just walking around. But if you're even doing pictures with your friends, you can put your blade in and, just take pictures with your friends. They don't have anything against that.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you have to walk through a metal detector when you get there, but like that's probably the most real life thing that you deal with when you're there.
Right.
How many lightsaber fights did you see in a day?
Actually, there was one youngling who I don't think I told you this story. There was one youngling on my first excursion who was just trying to get information out of me so badly. He was a little Jedi scum thing running around. And he was like, I want to see your data pad. His name was Liam. I'll never forget Liam. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't remember anybody's friggin' name, okay? Like, you could tell me your name in 3 seconds, it's gone. But like little Liam, who's like, I want to see your data comms. I want to see all the information. I was like, does anybody have Anakin's number? And he like ran away.
Yeah, right.
So,
I was gonna say,
like,
you familiar with Order 66, Liam?
So, but like later on, he wanted to have this lightsaber duel in the middle of the atrium. And normally you're not allowed to have your lightsabers out. You're not really allowed to duel. But because this little youngling wanted to have this duel and all these pictures with everybody with their lightsabers, they just let us do it. And this kid fought me with everything he had, by the way.
Wow.
Like his father was like, Liam, relax.
Yeah.
He was so angry. And I'm like, see, anger leads to the dark side.
Exactly. You can turn him because he's got the anger in him.
That's what I said. I was like, look, the Empire just wanted peace in the galaxy. I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, I might change my mind. And then he gave me a rock and I still have it. It's literally on a shrine right now. Like that little rock.
So cool.
So
That's
yeah.
funny.
So yeah, you could definitely do stuff like that. I mean, it's just, as long as you're like, hey, we're going to do this thing. Like, do you mind if we have like a little lightsaber fight? They're like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Well, so did you have other questions, Jay? I don't have any other questions about the experience. I did want to talk a little bit about just like what's next for that. And
that's where I was going to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, there's been a lot of rumors that have been thrown out. There was a recent article about it saying kind of like speculating that maybe they'll try to do it in some sort of modified format where it's maybe 24 hours instead of 48 hours. And
did you have when you got home, did you have the email? Did you have to fill out the questionnaire?
Oh, that's right.
I didn't have the extended one that other people got. I think
Okay.
the people whose name was on the reservation might have gotten those because my friend Amanda got one.
Okay.
And I didn't get that, but they did send me like a Disney World survey, and every single question they were like, "What did you like?" I'm like, "Galactic Starcruiser," blah, blah, blah. And I would just like write these long paragraphs about the Starcruiser. I also wrote letters to the crew and to Disney, and we all got callbacks from Disney. And I saw that a couple people did it, and then I did it, and then all these people started going, "Oh, Christina like inspired me," and I'm like, "Did I? Okay." So that was really cool, and all these people started doing it, and every single person got a call back from Disney, and Disney was saying that it was going. They said up the food chain, directly up the food chain is what they said to me, to the top, and every single thing that we wrote was and mine was like so emotionally charged. Like I read it over again and I'm sobbing at my own email. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. Like it's so
Dear
ridiculous.
Bob Iger, listen here.
Well, so because some of the things that people talked about is like, do you modify it in some way to make it more affordable? Do you make it shorter? But I was curious what your thought is, because I think some people think, well, if you shorten it, you're going to take some of the value out of it, and it makes it not feel like what I experienced. And so I was curious what you thought about that. Is do you try to make it different, like lengths of stay or whatever, or is it a mistake necessarily to shorten it so much just to get people in the door because it's going to take away from the experience?
Okay, so I have two thoughts about that.
Okay.
So the first one, first of all, I heard that they had like a psychologist or like a neuroscientist or something who actually studied the brain chemistry of people who had like gone on this, not literally like, but like their behaviors and everything, and said that to make it any longer, our brains couldn't handle it because it's so immersive and the emotional drop is so tough that if we went for, say, 3 days instead of 2, that we might not be able to handle it afterwards.
You wouldn't want to come back.
That's the thing.
Or you may go crazy. I mean, that's the other thing I thought about is, because there's no windows, it's kind of like a casino, but you can always leave the casino if you really want to.
You can leave anytime.
I know, but I'm saying like I would just see. I was wondering if somebody could think like, oh God, like I'm not seeing sunlight. I'm not seeing these things. I feel like I'm trapped in a submarine or something. I could see how somebody could have like a little bit of a breakdown. But it seems like most people that you experience or everybody you experience did not have that problem.
Well, there's also the climate simulator, which is literally like you can go out and see sunshine and
reset
breathe the
yourself.
Air. Exactly. And they call it a simulator, but it really is just like open to the outside. When it was raining in the climate.
It's a
simulator.
Courtyard.
Yeah,
courtyard.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, that's exactly what it is. But I mean, it's weird because normally I'm a person who has to get outside every once in a while too, but I had no problem. I told somebody was jokingly saying they were going to hit me with their lightsaber hilt, one of my friends that I was there with, because only your friends will say that, right? And
I would hope so.
I was like, honestly, if you do, I'm like, make sure you hit me in a spot that's going to kill me instantly, because if I die here, that's okay. And I'm afraid of death, but I'm like, it's okay if you kill me here, because then I never technically have to leave.
Yeah.
And I was only half joking. So,
and nobody's ever truly gone in Star Wars, so you know.
Exactly. I'd come back as a Force ghost. It would be perfect.
We've had to shut down the Starcruiser again because it's now haunted.
Well, Christina's back.
Starcruiser.
Close it up.
There you go. You got a Halloween attraction now.
Yeah. So yeah. But my thoughts are, I have two thoughts about that. So I would hope that they would keep it the way that it is, because it was so incredible, and I would hate to take anything away from that. So my first thought, and my most prominent thought, is keep it the way it is. Just try to figure out a way to maybe lower the cost. I don't even care about lowering costs. Honestly, they could keep it exactly the way it is, and it could be $1,500 a person or $4,800 for a family of 4, and I still feel like that's a freaking bargain for an all-inclusive place to go. And then also, it's the highest rated Disney experience ever.
Yes, I just read that.
Literally ever. So I mean, I feel like $4,800 for, technically it's like 36 or 38 hours in this place is, honestly, it's not that much. I mean, I think people would probably pay it, but now that they know what it's about. But also, my other thought is, even if I could just go there on a day excursion, like go into Batuu and then just go into that transport.
I think that would be smart for them to do. Like almost do like an upcharge. Like for the people who just go into the park, if they get them at Batuu, they can offer like an upcharge for them to go to the Starcruiser, almost like a reverse. Instead of going to the parking lot and getting in and going, you know, like they can travel to it there and then do like the first day you said, where it's not much of story, it's just you guys getting there doing whatever. Mm-hmm. That's the day they let park people to come in, you know? Yeah. So every couple of days you alternate it, and they can bring in, because I think it comes down to money, right? Like it's an expensive thing. Would they put $2 billion into this whole thing or something? It was like a ridiculous amount between like research and development and building and like the amount of cast people they have.
The casting is a huge cost.
Yeah. I think the $1 billion comes from the cast and what they spent on paying the cast, because I think it was like $700 million or something like that, like originally. Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, even if it were just not even to sleep there, but just to have, and this would be like at the very least, this would be the minimal thing that I would want. It's just even just have it be like a dinner and a show with Gaia, and then drinks in the sublight, and they make their money by everybody paying for their dinner or having drinks in the sublight and just hanging out, just being able to go onto the bridge and hang out there. That was I miss that so much. I would do anything to get back on that bridge and just sit there and have my calf and watch space go by. I mean, in the acoustics in there, when there's a shuttle going by and it's coming from like the left going to the right, I mean, the way that you hear the sound of the shuttle going by, it is so immersive that it literally sounds like you're sitting there on a ship, just having that happen.
Is there a space battle or anything that happens at some point where like you can go to the bridge and look out the windows and you can see something?
Yeah, part of the bridge training, there's a battle that you have to do. And then on the second day, I think twice, there's like 2 things that happen, because one for Lieutenant Croy, and then there's one for like the good side, Wraith and all them. So yeah, and you're literally, but it's not just you watching it, it's people, depending on the group, you get a group of people and you're actually immersed in it and helping with it and fighting or, you know, keeping the shield safe or doing whatever. Yeah, wow. It's incredible. So even just to be able to do that, just go to the bridge and have a cup of coffee.
I'm just thinking of logistically how you do it, because one, you've got the people who are who are spending the money to come and stay there, and they want that experience, and then you've got people coming in from the park. So does that take away from their experience at all because it's Gene's guy walking in and they're kind of stepping in on their experience? Or do you space it out or something where you do like, okay, well, 4 days of the week, they're going to do these 2-day excursions. And then the rest of the week, they have people coming in and out more frequently. I don't know. I was just trying to think of ways you could make it work that is the best of both worlds to actually get it back up and running.
I would love to have the fully immersive experience. And then, I think they would probably separate the two, though. I think they would either do one or the other. I don't think they would have. Yeah, I don't think they would have it like that. I think they would probably just have one or the other. I really hope that they go back. Somebody said something about possibly them taking out the bunks and having it just be a day, a day excursion that you can pay for or whatever, and it would be a lot cheaper. So that might be something that could be in the works later on. But I'm not sure. Everything is a rumor right now, but it sucks because I want it to go back to the way it was, and that's what I really, really want. But I'm also one of the people who's like, yeah, but I would definitely take this too. And I would just take going there during the day.
It's better than nothing, right? I think they just got to retool the way that they can make some money off of it. Even if they did like sort of like a timeshare thing, where like just certain dates they book up solid and they don't open up anything else for the full immersion, until it's sold out, and then they'll open up a few more. That might be something they can do, and then the rest of it's just open to people that are traveling.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So like you can essentially book up whatever you don't book up. If we're like, oh, we're going to be real light this week, we're going to open it up these 3 days to the people coming in from the park directly and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, whatever happens, I just hope it's not gone forever.
Yeah. Well, those are all the questions I had. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us all about it. And your excitement level just brings up the energy in this conversation very much so.
We literally all got tattooed after. Like I have a tattoo. We have shirts. We are all tattooed now. We all have the Chandrila Starline tattoo and everything. So
very cool.
You have the Empire symbol on your arm, right? Your forearm.
I have Sith on this arm.
Okay, that's right.
And then I have the Jedi one on this arm, and then I have Chandrila and Forever and Arabesh down here.
Arabesh, yeah.
Doogie Howser on her back.
She's gotta get FACPA. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, FACPA. Well, thank you so much, Christina. Really appreciate you coming on and telling us all about that. You'll have to share some pictures maybe that we can use to kind of promote the episode. That'd be great.
I'd love to. Anything you guys want.
Are you on Twitter still, or are you just on Facebook?
I got rid of my Twitter.
I was going to say, I think you've been off that for quite some time.
I have. I would never really got into it anyway.
Yeah.
But now it's like kind of crazy. So
it's the same thing. It's just people want to complain about shit.
It's just another hive of scum and villainy is what it is.
Yeah, right.
It's an awful, wonderful, shitty, great place.
I think there just seemed to be more scum on my timeline. Like
that happens.
So,
that can happen.
You gotta clean it up.
Yeah. So
we do have to say if there's any listeners that recognize your voice, you've done a couple of ads for us. So that you're the person along with Grant who has done I think we've done 2 that have aired, right?
We have done 3 total. So
she's done 2 ads, right? Yeah.
Yeah, MeRobies and
Contraceptive.
That was my favorite.
That was pretty good.
I did that all in one take too. Like I was just like, nope, this is great.
That's impressive.
I love how both ads you sent to me, you make it all the way to the end and you've got like 4 words left and you fuck.
You're blowing up my spot here. I usually don't leave that stuff in. Like I'm like, I'll send it to you tomorrow. I got to take out all my swears, all my expletives. Let me just edit those out first. But no, not with you. I'm like, no, I'll just leave it in.
The first one you sent me? You sent me like on the heels of you leaving to go the first time, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I had a whole KOTOR script to do. It was like 124 pages. And I needed to do it before that, but everything kept getting in the way. And then I kept going to Florida. I spent 2 out of 4 weeks in Florida in September. So when I got back, I was like, I can do this. I can be Bastila today. Like this will definitely. It's a Revan film, so it's gonna be amazing. Yeah. So
nice.
And I got to be Bastila in it. So yeah. So that was something that I got to do when I got back, and I was so in the mode because I was like, yes, put me in the Star Wars universe now. So yeah. So then I needed to do that one for you too. So it kind of kept me in that in that mode. Yeah. So I was happy
we appreciate
to do
it. Thank you very much for doing that.
Anytime.
once the film is coming out, let us know. We'll have you back on.
Definitely.
Yes, for sure. That'd be great.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah, because it's in the style of the old KOTOR film. Not films.
The game.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So.
Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having me on and letting me ramble.
Oh, no, it was great. All
My
good
goal
stuff.
in life is to have you on until you cry.
I can't believe I didn't cry.
She grabbed tissues a couple
Yeah,
times. I
she
saw her
did.
touch her eyes a couple times. That's about as close as we got. But
What's-
that's okay.
Like, I don't want, never read the news again, because I want to break it to you live on air when they decide they're going to open it back up. And then I'm just going to be like staring at you.
I will literally sob if that happens.
Waterworks.
You'll get me then.
In fact, if it happens, I won't go unless you're there. Like,
Okay.
I'm following
Okay.
you around.
You will see if that happens, you will see me sob.
Yep.
It's ugly.
That would be the ultimate giveaway, Jay, is somebody
A
for a
trip?
fact book giveaway, they get to come with us on the Starcruiser.
Well, I don't know if it'll be the ultimate giveaway for them to come with us, but I agree. That's
So
a
like,
little-
get me out of here. Remember I was talking about how somebody might lose it, they could have a nervous breakdown? Get me out of here. These guys are driving me nuts. No, I don't want to record a podcast with you right now, okay?
Yeah, and they have to share a room with us, so it's every 3 hours we got to go back and record.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You guys have an awesome week.
All right. Thank you very much, Christina. As we mentioned, we'll have her back on
Thank you.
very soon. We would like to have her back on as much as possible, and you will hear her voice when we play little ads. So you probably heard that already. We probably
Yep.
threw an ad in there somewhere. I'm guessing I did post edit.
I think you should.
I should.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go to the Maul Bag.
Use the force, Matt.
Email number 1 from Luther. This is the only email. Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener. We know Luther.
Oh.
Not first-time emailer, and I have a question. If there were specific episodes of the Clone Wars and or Rebels that I should watch before watching Ahsoka, what would they be? And then he said, if you've already answered this question or have a link to a list already, I apologize, but I've kind of been putting off the show because while I'm familiar with the movies, the Clone Wars movie and other various shows like Mando, I have not watched the Clone Wars or Rebels. This is a great question.
Yeah, it is. And we didn't really cover it like pre-Ahsoka, actually.
Yeah,
Well, there was a list, I think, that we had read over that was kind of making its way around the internet, right? It was like, what,
Right.
15 episodes?
I've seen a bunch of people kind of reference. I mean, if you really want, there's one out there that's like, this 6 episodes of this season,
Yes.
this 4 episodes of this season. It's like, well, that's a lot.
Well, I think there was, I don't know if it's still on Disney Plus, but they had like a, like as you pan the channel, like all the things, there was one, like there was an Ahsoka thing, was specific Ahsoka
Yes,
episodes.
correct. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of try to curate that for you as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of jotted down some ones that are musts, I think. Obviously, the Mortis arc of Clone Wars you have to watch.
Really,
which
I think so.
I believe that's late season 3 of the Clone Wars.
That sounds about right. What's it, 3 episodes, right?
3 episodes. Absolutely watch that.
You got to watch the movie, right? The first movie, introduction of Ahsoka. It's a turd.
I mean, I
But-
guess you should.
Yeah. Because actually, there's quite a few episodes throughout the seasons that tie back into that. Like
That's
that battle,
true,
right?
And you get the initial response of Anakin being like, "Why do I have this
Right.
Padawan?" And her kind of early days, her attitude.
Yeah, and everyone loves Turdy, or what's that fucknut's name?
Oh, I forgot.
Squirty or Squiggles or
Squirty.
what is his name?
That was your nickname in college. I don't remember.
I'm not
the
ashamed of that either.
name. Other stuff for Clone Wars. The final 4 episodes of Clone Wars season 7
Oh
is a
yeah,
must. I mean, that's a huge deal. What else from Clone Wars? Those are kind of the big ones from Clone Wars. When it comes to Rebels, I mean, there's a ton. Like the season 2 finale, you got to watch. That's when she has her
that's
her and Vader.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you don't really need to see the season 1 finale where they introduce her as Fulcrum, because it's only the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's just one little deal.
Yeah.
But that season 2 finale is a big one for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see her later in, I mean, it's hard to not recommend like almost all of season 4, although I would say definitely the back half, because that's where you get World
Yes.
Between Worlds.
Yeah.
You get stuff with Kanan.
Mhm.
You get like the whole epilogue, which we sort of recreate in Ahsoka. So anything in the back half of season 4 would be good. One of my favorite episodes of any animation Star Wars was the Twin Sons episode, season 3. That's the one where we might see a certain gray bearded
Yeah.
Jedi. That's a fucking great episode. Thrawn, I
much
think,
so.
comes in season 3. So,
Season 3, bad guy, yeah. So I would say just pick up with the season 2 ender, right? And then
Finale
just
and then
watch the rest of it. Yeah. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you're really going to, as much as like you're going to get the Ahsoka stuff we could bounce you around, you really get to know the Rebels characters as well.
Which you need to. And,
Yeah.
and season 3, I think, is when Sabine does the Darksaber stuff. That's another big one.
Right. Yes.
Like her training with Kanan and all that stuff. That's a big part of
Yeah.
it. So those are all the ones I would recommend. I hope you jotted those down, Luther. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah, Luther. And if is this the Luther that I'm thinking it is?
I think so. I think it's the
Okay.
Luther it's the same Luther.
Pay attention, Luther. I'm going to be announcing something soon, and it's going to be right up your alley.
Oh, okay. There's a tease. That's called a tease, folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was it for the Maul Bags. Thank you.
Huh? That's it. Thank you for listening. And until next time,
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
we have spoken.